My employer has started to allow in-plan Roth conversions. How does one decide how much traditional or the match to convert to Roth? Is this an example or a reason to take it to the next level?
I'll answer the second part first. Yes. It is a time when it might make sense to take it to the next level because this gets incredibly nuanced and incredibly complicated when you're starting to do mega backdoor Roths. And let me, can I lay out what a mega backdoor Roth is?
Yeah, well, you definitely need to, because I think Andrew, he's asking, he sees that somebody has made Roth conversions, in-plan conversions available. That tells me whoever designed your employer's plan, they were designing to add additional features, and Bo's about to go over that. But you didn't even ask, Andrew, what this kind of, you're asking how do you, should I take advantage of this? Let Bo blow your mind with this cool planning opportunity of mega backdoor Roth contributions.
Yeah, so in-plan conversion is one piece of that. What it's basically saying is that you have some assets inside of your 401k that can be converted to Roth inside of the plan. Now, what most people think of when they think of Roth conversions is I take some pre-tax dollars and I convert them to Roth dollars, and that becomes a taxable event. A lot of folks will do that with their employer match. Maybe I'm maxing out my Roth my Roth salary deferral, and my employer match goes in pre-tax, and I want to convert that. Those are all taxable events. But most often, when we see in-plan Roth conversions inside of a plan, it's because there happen to be after-tax contributions available inside of that plan. Now, what most people don't realize is when it comes to 401ks, we often think of two ways to put money in there. We can either do pre-tax deferrals or we can do Roth deferrals. Well, in some plans, there's actually a third option to put money in, and it's called after-tax deferrals, and it is not limited to the same $23,000 in 2024, $23,500 next year. It's not limited to the same salary deferral limit, so you can actually put in all the way up to the Section 415 limit, which caps at $70,000 in 2025 of after-tax contributions. Well, one of the beautiful things is if you're putting after-tax money into your 401k and it allows for in-plan conversions, you can convert those after-tax 401k contributions that you put in to Roth, and it is a completely tax-free event. It allows you essentially to do a mega backdoor Roth contribution. So a lot of folks out there who have access to this are able to do $20,000, $30,000, $35,000 Roth contributions inside of their 401k by this planning opportunity. So the question that Andrew had is, okay, I've got this going on and I have this availability. How do I know? Should I do after tax first? Should I do conversions first? Should I do pre-tax? Most often when folks are able to save at this level, and you're talking about potentially putting $70,000 of your compensation or maybe $50,000 or $60,000 of your compensation into a 401k, you're likely a higher income earner. Well, if you're a higher income earner, the pre-tax contributions that you can put into your 401k are incredibly valuable. That tax rate, if you're in the 30% or above marginal tax bracket, is so valuable. So it's not uncommon for someone to completely max out their pre-tax 401k contributions all the way up to the $23,000 this year, $23,500 next year, and then start doing the after-tax contributions. Would you agree with that as opposed to doing it before?
Yes, this is definitely somebody who's got a big shovel and has a really good income. I will tell you this, Bo said that this is one of those things where this is part of that complexity, is that once you're doing backdoor, mega backdoor Roth conversions, it's somewhat complicated because there's a lot of contributing factors. And here's one of them. I'm going to share some tidbits of some cautionary things to look out for. When he gave those 415 limits of $70,000, and then remember, if you're 50 and over, you even get catch-up contributions on top of that. You have to be careful that you don't crowd out your employer's contributions. So that I'm talking matching dollars with your contributions. I'm talking about profit sharing contributions. All of that fits into that $70,000. So if you get too funding gung-ho and you load it up with all $70,000 and then your employer wants to put in $12,000, it's just tough. They're like, no, you hit the 415 limit already. Even though your employer puts in the profit sharing contribution by October of the next year, assuming they extended their tax return, you went ahead and pre-funded too much money, so they just get to keep their money, and you miss out on it. So that's why it's kind of a very graceful dance you have to do, measure twice, cut once, and the fact that you're trying to make sure that you leave just enough room, kind of like that cup of coffee. They ask you, do you want creamer, or do you want to fill it up to the top? And you're like, no, I got to make sure I leave enough room in the cup for my employer to put in the full amount of money they want to put in, but then I'm also trying to get just as much, maximize that planning opportunity as much as you possibly can.
Now, the other question, maybe you're not asking about after tax, Andrew. You said, hey, how does one decide how much traditional and how much match to convert to Roth? Well, it's one of those things. If you're already doing all Roth contributions, you have a lot of money going into Roth. The question you have to ask yourself is, if I'm going to start converting some of my traditional balance or converting some of my employer match balance, is it worth it for me to pay the taxes now? Meaning, do I believe that I'm in a much lower tax situation now than I think I will be in retirement or later on? And so one of the things you can look at is, all right, if I convert $5,000, is it going to bump me into the next tax bracket? Is it going to cause me to miss out on some tax credits that I might have otherwise been that I would have otherwise been eligible for? So you want to make sure you think through those things. Again, this is so nuanced. This is a great example of one of those times it might make sense to take the relationship to the next level, because some of these decisions, while not overly complicated, they are complex and they do require doing the transaction correctly so that when you get to tax time, you don't have just a big booger to unwind.